Yo, friends of the interwebs, Peter Von Panda here. Wanted to quick show you the SPIGEN, could be SPIGEN just as easily, iPhone 5 case. A quick review. I have unboxed it and installed it on my iPhone 5. The cool thing about the SPIGEN Slim Armor case is that it comes in a variety of colors, so you can get it to match your phone. You can also, there are a couple like green and blue that make it stand out just a little bit more. The case itself has a rubber kind of full body case, and then it has this middle portion, this metallic, although I think it's plastic, wraparound piece that fits onto wraps around, obviously, the plastic or the rubber portion to give it some structure, some shape, and it stays on there snug, man. So as you can see, me getting it off here is a little bit tricky, but I will get it off to show you. The cool thing is that in terms of design, it really mimics what the iPhone 5 design is. So even when you put this sucker on and you snap that on, it gives you a little bit of that mimic chamfered edge. It's just a bevel all the way around the bottom. It's got some contrast between the top and the bottom portion, so it really looks like an iPhone 5. So if you like showing off the fact that you've got the best smartphone in the world, this is a cool way to do it. So you just wrap the rubber around the phone just like a lot of cases, and then you want to put this edge on first around the volume buttons, and then snap this up until it clicks. A couple nice things to note about this is that the volume buttons are also molded into the rubber, so they actually stick out, unlike a lot of iPhone cases that have a cutout here and it makes these buttons really hard to reach. These are nice and accessible and work very well. On the downside is that the mute button is still buried in there pretty well, so you're really going to have to use your fingernail, and that's because the plastic or the rubber they use is actually really thick, and I've seen some other reviews that talk about how it's almost a ruggedized case, and it absolutely is. It's going to give you a ton of protection, but the downside is that it's pretty thick, probably I would say 2 to 3 millimeters thick, so keep that in mind, and it adds a bit of bulk, but if you've got pretty large hands, it's actually feels pretty nice in your hand to have something a little bit thicker. A couple of the other things is that because this is essentially a rubber case, I've noticed that all around the edges it's nice and sturdy, except for the bottom where there are more cutouts. This bottom piece is a little bit loose. It's not bad, and it won't annoy you much, but it does kind of pull away from the iPhone case just a little bit. Up at the top where it's almost fully molded, again, this doesn't move. You gotta really kind of make it move. And the power button also is molded in there, so nice and accessible. On the bottom, you've got cutouts for all your speakers, a microphone, your headphone jack, and your lightning bolt connector, or lightning connector. One thing I will mention here is that this cutout for the lightning connector seems to fit not only the OEM Apple connector fine, but also I also have a few third-party lightning connectors, and this cutout seems to give enough room so that they all fit in there without a problem. So that's really nice too, in case you're using some third-party or some generic cables. The last thing I will let you know here is that if you've ever used an OtterBox or a case that is specifically for ruggedizing your phone, the case edge usually comes up and sits much higher than the screen itself around this edge, and I would say the nice thing about the SPIGEN case is that it sits relatively flush. It won't be the easiest thing in the world to notice here, but the edges around the phone itself are just slightly higher than the screen. I wouldn't even say they're a millimeter higher, and they're a bit rounded, so they feel kind of nice. They feel pretty good, but like I said, if you've ever seen like an OtterBox case where it comes over the edge, where it's a deep lip, it can make it a little bit hard or uncomfortable to use the screen and swipe around, and when you get to the edge, it's kind of that abrupt shock to your finger that there's something blocking it. But in this particular case, it's pretty flush, about as flush as I can expect them to make it, and so that's actually a pretty nice little feature too. So overall, about 20 bucks. 18 to 20 bucks in most places for the SPIGEN Slim Armor case, available in different colors. Pretty cool case. I think you're going to like it. Peter Von Panda. Out.